went live. Okay, sorry, we are running a little bit, oop, there we go. We are running a little bit late here tonight, and I am sorry for that. Had some technical difficulties. I'm on my own this evening. My husband had a Knights of Columbus meeting, so he is there. So if you are joining us, please let me know if you can hear me okay and if everything is all right. Hi B, thanks for joining us. There is a lot to go over, so I'm going to do my very best. Hi Donna. To get through things as quickly as humanly possible. And you know, I wanted to apologize 2 weeks ago when I was here, and oh, before I start, thank you so much Dan Colgan for jumping in and helping me out last week. I was feeling a little under the weather and just had a lot going on, so I appreciate him taking care of that. But when I was here 2 weeks ago, I completely forgot that it was October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Sorry about that. My daughter's making some dinner and banging around a little bit. So I did want to take a moment instead of a quote to make sure that I mentioned that to everyone. So please, you know, take your time, think of those people. Everybody I know is touched by breast cancer, and not just that, other cancers. This is a good time of year to be aware of all those things going on. But I just like to give a little mention. If you know someone who's a survivor, if you know someone who's lost someone, reach out to them, especially if you haven't talked to them in a while. I know it's kind of hard, you don't know what to say, and just let them know that you're thinking about them, that you know that they're in your thoughts or prayers, or if they're still going through this. Yes, get your girls checked on it. And actually, the news just had something on not too long ago about this, that it's just not a female issue. Men can suffer and be diagnosed with breast cancer. So it is something that everyone needs to be aware of. And sorry, I'm just getting a message. Yes, it's on now. People are asking me, because we were late, if we're on. So I apologize. I am not a great multitasker, so you will notice that I will get a little bit distracted. Hi Joy, if you can share this link for me, I'd really appreciate it. There we go. You hear my feedback in the background. Bill's usually here and does that for me. And so, but like I said, he's not here with us tonight, so we're gonna try this out and see how I do on my own. Like I said, there is a lot going on. You know, our October meeting is over. We had that, so we'll do a recap on that. There's some things coming up. I want to remind you, we are still on YouTube. I have not gotten the last couple episodes uploaded right now. Like I said, I had been feeling a little under the weather, so I'm going to try and take care of that tomorrow, tonight's and including. Hi Lori, thanks for joining us, and you know, we'll get things started here pretty quickly because like I said, there's a lot to cover with what's going on. There are 22 days till the general election, so we want to make sure that's noticed. I will come back to that and get through that a little more quickly, but that can't be said enough. It doesn't matter if you live in McSherrystown or wherever you're living. Take the opportunity. You have 22 days to figure out what's going on in your community, and you know, make sure that you're getting those things when you go into that voting booth. You know what you're voting for. I did put a link into the SB 1011. It's Marcy's law, which will be on the ballot. That is a constitutional amendment. Really take care and look into this. There's concerns on both sides of why it's needed and why it is, you know, there are some concerns about it. This is something that's a constitutional amendment, so please know before you vote why you should vote for it or why you don't want to vote for it. Don't just leave that up to chance or eeny, meeny, miny, moe that one. It is too important of a situation to do that with. We do have some community events. Tomorrow, the reason we're doing this tonight instead of tomorrow night is Voices of Malawi is a presentation. It's sponsored by the John T. Riley Historical Society, and Mary Furlong will be doing the presentation. It's about the culture, 20th century history, seminary, and the role of women in Malawi based on her experiences living and teaching there. I think it's going to be an amazing presentation. So please join us if you can for that. Our hope is to be able to live stream it for the people who can't be there. But if internet connection doesn't work well with us, then we will at the very least record it and push it out there for you. But I think this is one of those things that if you have the opportunity to be in the room with Mary, she's an engaging speaker, and I'm sure there'll be a period where you can talk to her and ask questions. So that's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the Knights of Columbus. Hi, Dan. And there's Mary. She just popped in to join us. So like I said, if you're able to join her and join us for this event, it would be phenomenal. This is, again, brought to you by John T. Riley Historical Society. So we appreciate that they're able to do this and help get this event out to the community. And we really appreciate Mary giving her time and being able to share her experiences. So hopefully we'll see you there tomorrow night. The drug take back is coming up. Sorry about that noise. I have some cats here that are playing and having a good time. The drug take back is Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. There are 8 locations where you can drop off your medication for free. I'll be at the McSherrystown Moose Lodge if you'd like to come out there and say hi, along with some of our officers and some other volunteers that will be there. But this is hosted by the McSherrystown Borough Police Department, but it's sponsored by Collaborating for Youth in Gettysburg. And this event is a means to safely dispose of unused, unwanted, or expired prescriptions and over-the-counter medications. So you can bring your loose pills, your liquids, creams, pill pack, including pet meds. They do ask that no needles, sharps, or intravenous solutions be brought to this event. I'm sure there's other ways to dispose of that. For those things, you might want to reach out to your local pharmacist. So that is just right around the corner. And then we have Trick or Treat coming up on October 29th from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. So that's what we have going on for community events. Again, we are 22 days away from the general election. These are the 5 candidates who are running on the transparency platform: Mark Lookenbill, Dan Colgan, William F. Smith Jr., who's my husband, George Staub, and Joyce Murrin. I want to put these up there, so if you don't know their faces, you can ask them, you kind of have time to put the name and the face together. But if you don't know who these folks are, you should try to reach out to them. I believe all of them have Facebook pages available, both personal and I think Dan and Bill have, candidate pages. But this is something, this is the time to reach out. I know they're trying to get out into the community. I know they're trying to make themselves available to answer questions. I know questions have come in to them, but and they're trying to get out to all of them that they can. I just had a question that I saw, Joy. I believe it's downstairs in the KFC, so I will try to get there early and shoot out an exact location, but I believe it is in the downstairs part. So if you come in from the outside entrance and walk down the ramp, it would be down there for tomorrow night's presentation. But actually, for the election, you want to keep in mind that the last day to apply for an absentee ballot is coming up. That's October 29th. The municipal election is on Tuesday, November 5th. Like I said, just 22 days away. New voters. I talked to quite a few people who said that their kids have voted or they voted for the first time. They're registering to vote for the first time. Please be prepared if this is your first time voting to please show your ID. And voters, if you make a mistake, new or seasoned, or you think you made a mistake, you can ask for a new ballot. And I'm only bringing this up, and I'm bringing this up regularly because there were, at the primary, some people were like, oh, I almost made a mistake. Heck, I almost made a mistake on my ballot in there because, I was writing some things in. And Dan mentioned last week that he made a mistake on his ballot and he had to ask for one. And some people weren't aware that you could ask for a new ballot. So you can do that. In McSherrystown, we vote, with paper ballots. So until it's scanned through, your ballot's not cast. You have the opportunity. In other polling stations, if you make a mistake, ask, and they can tell you how their procedure is. But in McSherrystown, we use paper ballot. I'm a little bit blinded here. There's a light on me tonight, and So I apologize. I'm looking down and looking back, and I have quite a bit of light spots in my eyes from where I'm reading. So, you know, there is a sample ballot that is available. Let me see if I still have that. I do have that up here, so that you have an idea of what you're doing. All of the candidates, unlike the primary, when you had to write in the candidates who were running against the incumbents, all 5 candidates, we were blessed that they are listed on the ballot. So all you really need to do is circle the little dot beside their name if you're voting for candidates who are running on a transparency platform. And I do want to talk a little bit about that. People have asked me, sorry, I have a kitten who's coming to say hi, so I'm just going to show him to you. Hello, this is Nikki. She's one of the fosters that we take care of for the foster that we help with, but she was creeping around the corner to see what was going on. She's my little shadow lately. But they're like, well, we have 5 people running and they're running together. They're supporting one another, but they're not running together per se. Some of the candidates are on here tonight. You can certainly ask them. They will reply to your comments if you post in here that they can see it. If you're in a separate watch party, they're going to have to go through and look at that to see it, but I can refer those questions to them. They support each other because they know where they stand. They want things to be done openly and in public. They want to understand what the rules are and follow them. In preparation for running for this position, collectively, these candidates have attended webinars, attended other borough and township meetings to get an idea of what's going on around us that may affect us. They've attended municipal financial meetings. They have been researching information from the Pennsylvania State Boroughs Association. I believe I got that right. The acronym there, well, is PABS. Well, anyhow, they've been researching information through there so that they're prepared coming into this. They're going to have to feel their way around. The difference between that and the candidates who are sitting here is they've been serving for years. And some of the way things were done at the meeting, and we're going to talk about the recap from this last meeting, are concerning, especially after the time that they've been serving. Some of them have been serving since, well, I think Bill said he's been delivering papers to some of, he remembers delivering papers to them a long time ago when they were on council. So, you know, it's something that if you haven't learned what you should be doing in that amount of time, what's the confidence that another 4 years will get you there? And they're committed. These candidates, Mark and Dan and George and Bill and Joy, are to trying to correct some of that, bring more of it back in. One of the things that I know is very frustrating that we talked about, that I talked about with them when I decided to support them, is there's no budget workshops. We have no idea what's in the budget, and they as a council admitted last December they collectively only know their piece of the budget that they're submitting recommendations on. So they're voting to approve a budget that they have no idea what's in it on some parts, unless of course they're meeting outside of meetings, which is inappropriate. So things just have to be better. And I was looking back through old news clips, and Hanover went through this in 2015. I think it was the Common Sense 5 is what they titled that group, because they were tired of the lack of transparency. They were tired of the, well, we'll do it this way. And it was, the community just really said enough is enough. They came together, they turned out, they voted. They've had a changeover in their council. They've had new management in the borough, and things seem to be a lot better. I'm not saying they're perfect there because I don't know the nuances, but they're a lot better than what they used to be. And I think that's what overall the community is looking for in McSherrystown, just for things to open up and be a little bit better. Hopefully a lot better. But Don, I'm going to try and read your comment. I've got light spots here. Yeah. In other words, they're learning how to run a board and do borough business. Yes, that's what the candidates are prepping for now. And there's going to be some stumbles, and I don't expect them all to agree. I don't expect them to sit there in lockstep and be like, oh yeah, this is, we agree without any discussion. I expect what you're going to see is a lot of presentation, and in new business, and it'll be carried over till the next meeting, or hopefully there'll be actual committee meetings, I'm hoping. So maybe it'll develop in committee meetings and then carry over, giving them time to research, and then taken to the actual council meeting where there's time for public comment and people would know ahead of time what's on the agenda so that they could participate in things that they're interested in. They might not care about the sewer bill, but they might really care about a new zoning ordinance, or whatever their thing is. So I'm hoping we see a lot of good changes in 2020, no matter who is seated there, but I really am hoping the candidates that are running to make a change, I'm hoping to see them being sworn in and opening things up to the community. And then the question else I had was, are you going to continue to do this when your husband's on the council and they're sitting there? Yes, absolutely. I still think, and Bill and I still think, that it's important that the community have access to information even if they can't necessarily be there. And I'm going to hold their feet to the fire just as the same as I'm sitting here now. I'll certainly ask questions at the meeting and give them an opportunity to come back with answers and information and bring that to you. But also, if they're doing things repeatedly that are wrong, I'll still go through the same process that I do now. My husband we're going to have a wall. He's a councilman there and a husband here. And when he's here, we're not going to have, it's going to be difficult, but they do it now with their spouses, and we're going to have to do it here. But I do still anticipate holding accountability to whoever's sitting in those seats come January 1st. And one of the things that happened at the meeting that I want to bring up, and I'll have to get into more in another week because we're already kind of running long, is SB 101. We need more information on this. It reported in the paper that the resolution was passed, but they didn't actually submit a resolution, and they talked about passing it, but I don't believe they can pass it until they have a resolution to submit. But the problem is, from what I've read, that resolution only applies to boroughs who have a population of 2,500 or less, and we have a little over 3,000. So I'm wondering, are they deciding? They spoke as though, oh, this would benefit us, so let's go ahead and pass it. So I'm a little confused there, that do they not understand the bill or not understand the process? Or it's possible maybe I don't have enough information and there is some room that we could benefit from. So that definitely needs to be looked at a little bit more. And I'm not going to be able to get to comments and get back, so I'll have to come back and do that. Dan, if you can take any comments or make sure I come back and see anything, I'd appreciate it, since I see you watching. Another thing they talked about was the $525,000 savings, which they didn't do the breakdown of the math, but they did say that it would be considerably less than that because of the contributions that the officers would have to make. But there's a point I want to make about this. We actually spent a little over $30,000 fighting our police officers. That's actual money spent. And the justification for that was, but we were saving the taxpayers money. Here's the breakdown. In order to come close to saving any amount of money that was projected in that original letter or in that amended statement, we would have to hire 5 new officers today. And those 5 officers would need to complete 25 years of service to be eligible for this program they're saying saved us $525,000. And those officers who worked 25 years would have to have been 25 years on the date of their hire in order for those numbers to work out. Because if they were younger, they'd actually have to work longer than 25 years. And if they were older, this is a gap program. What this savings that they talked about, that program did, was it helps cover, it's supplemental insurance between the time you retire and the time you're eligible for Medicare. So if they're older than 25, there's a shorter period where they would have eligibility and they would elect to do this. So those numbers are really, there's a lot of ifs and sliding scales. But in order for that savings to even come into play, it's not just that they were hired and they worked 25 years and they were 25 years old, they also would have to elect that benefit. It's my understanding that of the last 3 officers that retired from our department, they didn't elect that benefit. So if they don't elect that benefit, we don't see any savings because they haven't cost us anything. So we spent a real $30,000 to cut pay, benefits, and this GAP program in an attempt to possibly maybe save some money 25 years from the date of our next hire. That's concerning to me. It's also concerning on the level in the fact that in the same meeting where this is being justified, a letter was read and SAVE said we need an additional $38,000, and they explained why. And as Mayor Weaver said, if we don't give them $38,000, if we give them anything, then, oh, sorry about that, then I'm sure they'll be appreciative. But the response of the council was, we'll pencil that in. Do I think the fire department deserves financial support? Absolutely. But they didn't even ask any questions. And somewhere between the micromanagement of the K-9 program and the I'll pencil it in from the SAVE's donation or contribution lies reasonability and fiscal responsibility. They didn't even ask any questions. Yes, they went to the meeting. My husband was there. Many of the candidates were there, including a few of the sitting council members. But this council said, we'll pencil it in, but they didn't offer anything to you, to the taxpayers, to say, well, this is how our call volumes have increased or decreased in McSherrystown. This is how the services have changed. This is why we need to. Where SAVES had made an announcement at a public meeting, multiple public meetings, in fact, in Conewago Township. Bill was at one and I was at another one, where they said the excessive growth that's occurring in Conewago Township is too much. They can't keep up. It's damaging to their ability to be able to financially sustain. So they were going to have to ask for more money now, and they're going to have to ask for more money later because of all the continued growth coming in. Now, they're saying it's 38% of us, so their increase is expanded by this much, so we need to give more. But before, we can't just say, oh, we feel like it's a good idea, so we should give it. We need to ask all the same questions of everybody. Same things you would say by, oh, we need an increase in pay, or we need, why? Why is it necessary? Are we doing everything we can? Did they ask SAVES? There's multiple programs being developed and put out there. Additional money's being made available to fire companies. We need to take the information back to our people to show that you are applying for this. This much is being brought, extra is being brought in from those programs. This is how our call volume is going up. It's asking reasonable questions that go along with asking with that increased pay. I hope that we're able to give them money to support them because they provide a vital service to the community. However, the stark difference between I like you and I want to give you money and I'm not a big fan of yours, so we're going to nitpick. I mean, they argued $450 for a safety push bar, and at the same time turned around just a few months later and gave a gift as a retirement gift to a borough employee for $350. Didn't disclose it, didn't bat an eye, and didn't even discuss if it was necessary in public. It's unreal, the stark differences that go on with this council. And it's when you get into feelings and I feel like this is a good idea and you don't have discussions, that's how you have biased decisions being made, where if I like you, you get it. If I don't, you don't. And that's what we can't have in our borough council. That needs to stop. We need to take a more balanced, responsible approach. And I think it's right that we do make decisions that keep the community and our taxes mindful, but that we don't micromanage over here and pencil it in over there. That's inappropriate. I mean, at least that's my opinion. That's inappropriate. So we're going to move on from that to our neighboring. We have some neighboring victories to talk about. I don't know if you've been following along or not, but Hamilton Township, by a unanimous decision on the 10th, declined the 667 townhouse development. There is anticipation that is going to be a fight. So looking forward to that. Not looking forward to that, looking forward in that direction. I'm eager to see how that works out. But I am so super proud of Hamilton Township and the way that they came out to have their voices be heard. They weren't just at the meetings. They wrote in letters, and they had reached out to their representatives, their elected officials, and the elected officials listened. Also, right down the street in Butler Township, there was a bill followed up. It was an ordinance about restricting animals in the borough or in the township, and the community, who was a strong rural community, 4-H, there's some rescues there, kennel, different businesses, they again came together and made their voices heard and said, stop, you can't do this. This isn't what we want, and we really want you to, walk that back. That's not in our best interest. So in both cases, community members made their voices heard, and they had victories in their community. So I'm hoping that we have the same here, especially in the next 2 months with McSherrystown. The next 2 months is going to be our budget process. We have heard not a word, not a peep about the budget. They'll introduce it in November and vote on it in December, unless they have some sort of special meeting in between. So in doing that, keep an eye out on and what's there. That's how you're going to find out what is being planned for your tax dollars. And understand that those meetings are going to occur after the election. So keep in mind that, are those the people that you chose to make those decisions, and are they acting in your best interest? So things aren't over after the election, everyone. You just have to kind of hang in there for a few more months, and hopefully, we'll see some positive change really soon. Conewago Township, 10/21, that's next Monday. They have a workshop at 5 p.m. and a supervisor's meeting at 6:30 p.m. I point this out to you because a workshop is not something that we have here. I know they have them in other boroughs and townships, but if you aren't used to attending the meetings and you do live in Conewago Township, I strongly recommend that you go to the workshop, because that's where they deliberate on things first, and they're going to vote on them in the supervisor's township meeting. There were a couple things at a special meeting that came up that you should be aware of. The gun range is back on the table, or at least some form of, whether it's an actual gun range contributing to one that's being built elsewhere, whether it is still building one, whether it is, giving a financial donation to an existing one, but it's $100,000 being put on the table in the budget for that. So be aware, because I believe that's the amount of money they had set aside previously to build the gun range when in joint with Penn Township and Hanover Borough. So the people that opposed it before, this is something you want to be aware of. Also, they had $40,000 budgeted for a new patrol vehicle. It was unclear if it was going to be a replacement or an addition. And there was also, there was another budgeted item that now I can't remember what it is right now. But if you go back over and look at the meeting minutes, if they're available before the meeting, but you really should be there, because this is going to affect your budget. Conewago Township, you are slated for a tax increase, which is going to cost residents there an additional $104 a year based on a certain dollar amount, and that was in the newspaper article. I think it was a $250,000 home. I know a lot of people who can't afford that $104 a year, so this is your time to question and ask that. And is a gun range the best use of that money for the borough, for the township? But that's just something to be aware of and keep in mind. And also, what else do we have? Oh yes, the Eisenhower Drive extension. That is something, please be aware and read petitions you're signing if you're seeking one out or presented with one to sign. There is a petition circulating that has some confusing language, which the way it basically is it's against the TSM but in support of the 5C. And I only bring it to your attention because a few people have mentioned to me that they've signed it thinking that it was the no build, but then realized after the fact that it wasn't. The petition is still available at Nick's Garage at 5490 Hanover Road. So you can reach out to them or check out the Stop the Eisenhower Drive extension page for more information. It is a little confusing, but right now there are only 3 legitimate alternatives on the table. One is the TSM, one is the 5C, one is the no build. TSM goes up Route 94 to Elm Avenue and in the 600 block of Main Street. The 5C goes through We Care Best behind Sherry Village and comes out by Nick's Garage in Brushtown. The no build obviously is a no build and does nothing. By law, they had to put an option on the table that would rework existing roadways, which is the TSM. They had to. But unfortunately, looking at the TSM, looking at the 5C, neither fulfilled the proposed objectives of the plan. But the most alarming thing to me about all that is the 5C is deceptively listed as condemning 7 properties. Unfortunately, they're constantly changing that. So I believe I was told recently that 2 new properties were picked up in that people were aware of that weren't existing on there before as they shift and adjust the alignment. But it's not just whole properties. That's 7 whole properties, but there are acres and acres of land that are being taken. And keep in mind that while it would be crushing for Hanover to have the TSM come through and take out those properties, businesses that are there can possibly relocate. It's inconvenient, but they could relocate. When you're taking out, a couple acres of a farmer's land, he can't relocate his farm necessarily. I mean, you could, but they're not buying the whole farm. They're only buying, 8-10 acres? And that can be a significant amount of money. That could be up to 8%, 8 to 10% of that farmer's annual income that he's losing. So it's not just as simply as, he's losing a little bit of yard. It's more than that. We really need to be mindful of what's going on when we're discussing these. And also keep in mind that the Hamilton Township, that was 667 townhomes that were going to cause the addition of a new school needing to be built. Okay? About 1,000 students in there. Right now in Conewago Township, there are actively 790 lots, I believe is the number, already approved and waiting to be started in Conewago Township. In addition to the 85 acres that's rezoned and looking at development, and then Conewago Estates, which is another small development. So we're already talking about way more homes active in Conewago Township, ready to be built, than they were even discussing in the townhomes. Are they all going to be built at one time? We don't know. It depends on when they pull the permit and begin those projects. So we're still looking at significant increases in our school taxes if all of those come to fruition in a similar amount of time. So you need to be careful and watching of the zoning and understand that there are reasons to stop these permits, especially if they're excessive, which could slow down this building some. I know from talking with 1 or 2 people on the zoning boards, they were under the impression that, if they met all the criteria, they had to approve, which is exactly what Burkentines was trying to say to Hamilton Township. We've checked all your boxes, you must approve us. And Hamilton says, no, it's a public safety, health, and welfare issue, so we're denying your special variance. So I think that the community is starting to get a little bit wiser. The communities around here are starting to get a little bit wiser about these rules and knowing that there are alternatives and are options in which that we can say no. And I think it's up to us we have to dig in and learn this, but supporting each other, knowing that, we live in Conewago Valley School District, even though those 667 townhomes aren't going in my neighborhood, they certainly are affecting me. So I know we ran through a lot. I ran through a lot. I know that I have missed a lot of your comments because of the light spot in my eye, so I'm spotty. I'll try and get back through and get there. But I do want to wrap up for tonight. The next Borough Council meeting for McSherrystown is, I have the wrong date up there. That is actually, let me see here, I have it up here, November 13th. Yes, November 13th is the next McSherrystown Borough Council meeting. That'll be at 7 p.m. That'll be after the election. Tuesday, November 5th is our election day, 22 days away. And the next episode, we should be here on Tuesday, October 22nd. I don't think we have any senior night games or any other special events. I hope you'll be able to join us tomorrow night for Mary Furlong and her Voices of Malawi presentation from the Knights of Columbus. You can find us on YouTube. I am a little behind. Sorry about that, getting the other episodes uploaded. I'll try and get those done the next day or two with being a little under the weather. But thank you for hanging in there and joining us tonight. So again, thank you for your time. Good night and God bless. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.